Big tech is preparing to spend hundreds of billions of dollars on AI infrastructure. OpenAI, Microsoft, Oracle, XAI, Meta, and Amazon. And the numbers being discussed are staggering. The proposed Stargate initiative alone has discussed investments that could eventually reach up to $500 billion. Most investors hear those numbers and immediately think about NVIDIA. Some think about OpenAI. Others think about Microsoft. But when I started researching where these projects were actually being built, something immediately caught my attention. A surprising number of them were ending up in Texas, and not just in Texas, but in West Texas, and not Silicon Valley, not Seattle, not Northern Virginia, but West Texas. And once I understood why, I realized investors might be overlooking a much bigger story. So today we're going to talk about why some of the largest AI projects in America are being built in West Texas and why that matters, and a few companies that could benefit if the trend continues. Now, if you're OpenAI, Oracle, Microsoft, or another company building large-scale AI infrastructure, then you got choices. You can build almost entirely anywhere in the country. So why Texas?
So rural communities across Texas.
Hey Siri, remind me in 10 minutes to do laundry.
Every question you ask, every chatbot reply, every AI image, every line of code, it all has to live somewhere. And that somewhere is here. To power the AI boom, tech companies are racing to build data centers, thousands of them. Texas already has nearly 400. And industry groups say in 3 years, it's poised to become the nation's leading data center market.
Texas is a great market for us. So obviously you have great resources in terms of people, great access to energy, and frankly, it creates an environment, it's a pro-business environment.
Colin McLean's company, Digital Realty, runs 30 data centers across Texas, including 450,000 square feet in Richardson and another 1 million square foot facility under construction in Garland. Projects like this and hundreds of others are popping up across the state. Fast.
So why West Texas? The answer is very simple and also very exciting. Power. But it doesn't stop there. West Texas also offers abundant land, existing energy infrastructure, transmission networks, and room for expansion. As many of the largest AI projects being discussed today require hundreds of megawatts of power. Some future projects could require gigawatts. That's not a typical data center anymore. That's industrial scale infrastructure. When companies start searching for locations capable of supporting that kind of growth, then the list becomes much shorter. And increasingly, West Texas keeps showing up. So if you pull up a map of Texas, you're going to find Abilene, which is closer to where the X is in Texas. Then you're going to find Sweetwater, which is 40 miles away to the west. And then you'll find that Abilene, where Starbase or Stargate is being built, and Sweetwater, where IREN has its Sweetwater campus, is very close to each other. Abilene has become one of the most talked about locations in AI because of the Stargate project, and Sweetwater just 40 miles to the west.
Some people might be wondering why Abilene was chosen for this project.
Yeah, sure. So, I think there are three main reasons why Abilene was selected. First, if you look at Abilene from top down, this is a mid-sized city in west central Texas, about 130,000 people. There are no other big cities around. And if you're a developer trying to build a big data center, that's exactly what you're going to want, is all that space. A second reason is that we have a lot of natural resources here, plentiful natural gas, we have solar, we have wind, and wind, we have a lot of wind. And so all those stand to factor into that energy matrix. which is good because these data centers, especially AI data centers, are going to use a lot of power. We're also developing some new nuclear power technologies here at Abilene Christian University that may factor into that energy matrix at some point. But a third really important reason, I think, why Stargate came to Abilene, and it can't really be overstated, is that the city of Abilene and Taylor County entered into a tax abatement agreement for an 85% abatement over 10 years to get Stargate to come here. And if you're thinking about a $3.5 billion project, that's a lot of savings. The completion date's later this year, so I think it's a pretty impressive timeline to reach at the moment.
Sweetwater is home to one of the most interesting AI infrastructure stories in the public markets. These projects aren't separated by thousands of miles. They're essentially being built in the same region. That's important because major technology projects often create ecosystems. Silicon Valley wasn't built by one company. Neither was Austin. Neither was Seattle. Clusters matter. And talent follows infrastructure. Infrastructure attracts capital. Capital attracts additional projects. And that's why I think investors should pay close attention to what's happening in this region. One reason investors are paying close attention to Abilene is Project Stargate.
Stargate, put that name down in your books because I think you're going to hear a lot about it in the future. A new American company that will invest $500 billion at least in AI infrastructure.
The data centers are actually under construction. The first of them are under construction in Texas, the Abilene location, which is our first location.
Abilene is a town on the western central plains of Texas. We kind of scratch and fight for everything good that comes our way.
I had people reaching out and they said, "Well, is the president going to come see you?" And I said, "Well, he hasn't texted me yet." So.
I'm thrilled we get to do this in the United States of America. I think this will be the most important project of this era.
Welcome to Abilene, Texas. This is the site of Project Stargate, a very mysterious, much talked about, much speculated about project that brings together OpenAI, SoftBank, Oracle. If it all comes together, building after building on this red dirt behind me will be filled with chips that'll power the AI revolution.
What we're undergoing right now is sort of the largest infrastructure build in human history. It's going to create new ways of doing business, it's going to create new ways of invention, and it's going to really drive humanity forward.
This project has become one of the most discussed AI infrastructure initiatives in the world. The exact spending figures may change over time. The final scale may evolve, but the signal is clear. The largest technology companies in the world are preparing to spend enormous amounts of money building AI infrastructure. The important takeaway isn't the exact number. It's that AI infrastructure spending appears to be accelerating rather than slowing. And if that spending continues, regions capable of supporting large-scale deployments could become increasingly important. Abilene is one example of what that future might look like. So with Stargate, you have a massive capital investment of around $500 billion. Gigawatt scale power demand designed for the next generation of AI. I'm willing to bet that Stargate gets as much power as the entire city of Abilene. Probably the entire city of Abilene probably gets 2 gigawatts of power, and Stargate is probably equal to that. New AI infrastructure, purpose-built for high-performance computing, and one of the largest projects in the United States, a transformational initiative. So there's going to be multiple data centers, dedicated power infrastructure, advanced cooling systems. How are they going to cool Stargate? Fiber optic connectivity, probably miles and miles of fiber optics, and built for scale, built for the future. So one company we've invested in is IREN Data Centers. What makes IREN particularly interesting is its Sweetwater project, 40 miles west of Abilene.
Here we are on the Sweetwater 1 project site. Earthworks are commenced there. We've mobilised all our machinery to site. We've got dozers and scrapers, watering trucks here. One of the aspects of our project that's critical to its success is security and environmental care. This is the Sweetwater 2 project site. So this is IREN's 600 megawatt site, which will form part of the overall Sweetwater project, which will create a 2 gigawatt project in total. What I'm excited about is a lot of opportunity for jobs in this area created by the project. We're fortunate that we're very close to cities. It's good for those communities as well. We have a team at the moment of about 10 to 15 folks, and that will very quickly transition with a team of between 300 to 500. It's going to be a massive site.
So the Sweetwater site sits just west of Abilene. In other words, it's located near one of the most important AI infrastructure developments currently being discussed in the United States in Project Stargate. That's a connection many investors may be overlooking. IREN is building large-scale AI and high-performance computing infrastructure in a region that appears increasingly attractive for future AI development. And when investors focus on AI, they often focus just on chips. But chips need homes, they need power, they need cooling, they need networking, they need facilities capable of supporting enormous compute clusters. And if AI infrastructure spending continues to accelerate over the next decade, strategic locations could become extremely valuable. And Sweetwater may be one of those locations. So you have a strategic location built for AI infrastructure with power access, available land, infrastructure, and the strategic location in the heart of West Texas. And to reiterate, Stargate and Sweetwater are only 40 miles apart, close to Abilene. The next company we've invested in is Nebius. While IREN focuses on physical infrastructure and compute deployment, Nebius represents the cloud layer sitting on top of that infrastructure, although they also have data centers as well.
Today. So I think that NVIDIA's innovation pace is only accelerating, and that means that cloud companies need to have significant engineering resources to keep deploying what NVIDIA has to offer, right? And so I think that's why sort of Nebius can be quite well positioned, because they have significant engineering resources from the cloud world where they actually have designed their own racks, right? Whereas most clouds don't design their own racks. And so I think there's a lot of innovation around the rack side, around the cooling side, and now around the networking side. And so all of these things are, the incredible pace of innovation that NVIDIA is bringing, and the ecosystems, trying their hardest to be able to deploy it.
Yeah, that's right. Like, we are absolutely committed to sort of owning our own data centers and effectively evolving with sustainability goals, et cetera. And we've been very successful at that in Europe, and of course, bringing that here stateside.
Many businesses won't build their own AI campuses. Instead, they'll rent compute. They'll consume AI infrastructure as a service. That's the opportunity Nebius is pursuing. As demand for AI applications continues to grow, demand for compute capacity could grow alongside it. And that creates opportunities for companies providing access to that infrastructure. So demand from every industry needs AI cloud compute. Healthcare, finance, robotics, manufacturing, software companies. And AI demand, GPU compute is what Nebius does, AI cloud platform. And it's powered by GPU clusters, data centers, high-speed networking, and scalable infrastructure. So the story doesn't just end with data centers. Every AI campus needs networking. Every campus needs power, and they also need data movement. That's why companies operating in photonics, networking, fiber, and infrastructure may also benefit. This is one reason I spend so much time researching SIVEs. As AI clusters becomes larger and more powerful, networking becomes increasingly important. The AI build-out isn't creating one winner. It's creating an entire ecosystem of potential winners. So you have the AI data center factory, and then you're going to have power fueling every AI campus, natural gas transmission, grid infrastructure. And then you're going to have data centers where compute comes to life. AI campuses, infrastructure providers, and cooling solutions. And then you're going to have the cloud compute, making AI accessible, AI cloud platforms, GPU compute, and the cloud infrastructure. You also have networking with the fiber optics, optical transceivers, photonic solutions, including lasers that go inside the transceivers. And then you have memory, the performance multiplier. You have DRAM and high bandwidth memory, HBM, and memory components. And all these parts of the AI factory or the data centers, they're all different industries. And each industry has a company that specializes in that industry. This is what makes these data centers so interesting. Power, Caterpillar has no relationship with Micron that specializes in memory, or networking, SIVERS, doesn't have anything to do with IREN data centers. They don't specialize in the same thing. Now, of course, there are risks, and not every announced project is going to be built. Timelines can change, economy conditions can change, and power availability can become a constraint, and AI spending could eventually slow. Those are legitimate concerns, but even if only a fraction of these announced projects moves forward, the amount of infrastructure required remains enormous. The question may no longer be whether AI infrastructure gets built, but the question may be how much of it gets built. So as most investors are focused on the AI applications, such as the chat box or the software and the models, but increasingly, I think the more interesting story is the infrastructure underneath it all. And one of the most interesting places to watch may be in West Texas, because when you step back and look at the map, something unusual is happening. Some of America's biggest AI projects are starting to cluster in the same region. And whether that eventually becomes a major AI hub remains to be seen. But it's a trend worth watching. And for investors, it may be a trend worth researching. And if you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe. And if you'd like access to my portfolio, stock research, weekly updates of the portfolio, and all the visuals used in these videos, check out the Buy Me a Coffee link below and check out the membership page. And appreciate y'all watching, and I'll see y'all on the next one.